When I was growing up, I don't remember seeing adults rest. I remember seeing them work. They cooked, they cleaned, they gardened, they fixed things, they solved problems, and there was always something that needed to be done. If I was caught in the middle of the day just sitting around, I'd be immediately given something to do. Seeing people rest felt strange, almost wrong, like if they should be doing something useful instead. And without realizing it, I learned a very simple rule. You rest after the work is done. And for a long time, that rule made perfect sense. The problem came later. I became an adult, then I became a parent, and suddenly the amount of work in my life exploded. Not just paid work, life work like laundry, cleaning, cooking, groceries, school runs, appointments, all this invisible logistics that keeps a family running. But I was still following the same rule. Rest comes after all the work is done. So I kept waiting. I'll rest after this week. I'll rest after this project. I'll rest when lights come down. I'll rest after my husband's birthday party. And maybe I will. But then my son's birthday is coming. And then there will be something else and something else again. This is what keeps happening. You finish one thing, two more appear in its place. From the outside, everything looked fine. But there was a cost. A cost I didn't fully understand at the time. Because while I was taking care of everything else, I wasn't taking care of my own recovery. I treated recovery as something optional, something I would get to later, after the work, after the next busy season, after all my responsibilities. The problem is that recovery is not optional. It's part of the system, like spending is part of the system. But for years, I was spending without replenishing. Spending, always assuming I would recover later. Eventually, I hit a wall. Not the kind of tiredness that goes away after a good night's sleep, but something deeper, the kind of exhaustion that stays with you for days, the kind where a half a day commitment can take 2 days to recover from, the kind where I finally started realizing that my old strategy wasn't working anymore. I talk more about that in another video, because realizing I couldn't push through anymore was a much bigger shift than I expected. I'll put the link below. The truth is, I would love to keep going. I would love to keep pushing through. I would love to continue postponing rest until later. But I can't. My energy has limits. And whether I acknowledge those limits or not doesn't change the fact that they exist. And that's when I started noticing something else. Even when I do have a little free time, resting doesn't come naturally to me. Sometimes I think, maybe I can do some drawing or sit down and do a little embroidery. And almost immediately, another voice shows up in my head, a very familiar one. It asks me, have you done all your work? Is your house clean? Have you done all the laundry, cooking, cleaning? And the answer is always the same, no. Because everything is never done. There is always another load of laundry in the house with kids, cleaning never ends. Another email to respond, another responsibility. And that's what makes it so difficult. Because if rest happens only after everything is done, rest never happens. Not because nobody allows it, not because I don't have a permission, but because the condition can never be met. The work doesn't end. The responsibilities don't end. My to-do list is endless. So I keep moving the finish line. Just one more thing, then I'll rest. Just one more week, then I'll rest. Just one more project, then I'll rest. And for years, I believed that voice, until I ended up exhausted enough to understand that the strategy itself was the problem. One of the reasons I started paying attention to all of this is my mother-in-law, my Nigerian mother-in-law, a woman who raised 6 children, a woman who worked extremely hard her entire life, a woman who raised those kids in a house without running water. The kind of life where doing laundry or making dishes meant carrying water first. And Every now and then she looks at me and says, Natalia, you're always busy. You're always doing something. Go rest. And when I hear that, I'm shocked. Because if a woman like this thinks I need to rest, I probably should pay attention. Don't get me wrong, I don't blame my family for that. In fact, I'm very grateful. They taught me how to work. They taught me responsibility. They taught me persistence. And there are lots of people who never learn these things. So I learned one skill very well. Now I'm trying to learn another. So lately I've started wondering, what if rest and recovery is not a reward for a life well managed, but something that allows that life to continue? Like fuel. We don't wait till the car runs out of gas completely before filling it in. And we put the fuel first before the drive because we know the car can run without it. Of course, the hardest part for me is learning to rest before everything is done, because everything will never be done. I'm 43 and I'm just learning that. Thank you for watching. I'm Natalia and this is Restless and Resting. If any of this sounds familiar, I would love for you to stay. And I will see you in the next video.